The girl was named Siani, and her birthday gift was a strikingly handsome man with silver hair. However, she was the only one who knew he was the future crown prince. For this reason, her unstable younger brother, Eric, became overwhelmed with jealousy. He burst into her room and created a loud disturbance. Siani impatiently covered up her ears. This simple action made him even angrier. He leaned down, pulling Siani into a tight hug. "You have been acting so quiet recently. I really thought you had finally become normal. It seems you were only looking for some man to casually play around with. You are shallow. You burst in like a rude animal without knocking just to lecture me. You are the one who is truly shallow," the man said in anger. "What was that?" Siani said with impatience. "If you have understood me, then please get out." The flickering look in his eyes reminded her of Siani's own memories. Her father, who was almost never home, suddenly brought home a pair of twins. Little Siani at that moment realized that her own father, who never smiled at her, was actually capable of a father's love. But she continued to blame herself. It was due to her own birth that her mother passed away. For that reason, her father despised her until the little boy with pink hair suddenly spoke to her. "Sister, do you always make that face? Or are you just trying to get attention?" He smiled with an innocent expression, but his words were extremely cruel. "That expression looks really disgusting." Now this very same person was boldly interfering with her once more. Abruptly, voices came from outside the room. "I heard Grand Duke Benito will host a party to select the new Grand Duchess. I already said I will not get married. I want to remain with my father and brother forever." Luna whispered, "Siani is sleeping. Lower your voice." A maid complained, "Miss, how long will you serve the young lady?" Luna stopped her. "Do not say that. Siani's wounds from being abandoned by Arthur probably have not healed yet. I do not want my sister to be sad. But, compared to Siani, the Grand Duchess position suits you better, miss." It was Eric's younger sister, Luna, and her maid. How absurd! They were obviously saying it on purpose outside her door, trying to make her commit an error so the Duke would punish her. Eric immediately put the blame on her. "It is your fault for overhearing things from servants. You better not take your anger out on Luna." Siani was confused. "What are you talking about? This unstable person?" While she truly wanted to beat him, she needed to keep the original Siani's cold and arrogant personality. Siani sneered. "Instead of lecturing me, you should manage your own sister. A maid's quality reflects her master. Even though you do not carry the pure bloodline, you should at least try to maintain a certain standard. Go and loyally follow our father's commands. After all, that is the purpose of your existence." It was now time for her to address the main issue, which was to go see her birthday gift. That person, in addition to being a killing weapon trained by the Duke's family, was also the main male character of the novel Summer Night's Dance. And Siani was actually a person who had transmigrated. She was a villainess traveling through worlds only to meet a terrible end, time and time again. This time, she had transformed into Siani, the young lady of the Felicity house. This was her final chance at transmigration. If she failed this time, she would face a permanent death. In the book's plot, Siani was the primary person who tormented Ledian and caused him to go completely mad. Ledian eventually became the crown prince and killed Siani with his own hands. This deranged man finally held Siani's head in his hands, vowing he would pursue her to the very ends of hell. She commanded her brother, "Take me to the dungeon now." Eric made a threat. "Are you sure you won't regret this? Even if you become scared later, I will not help you." He took out a necklace and whispered something, and a magical circle activated. So that was the key to enter and leave the dungeon freely. She must find a way to obtain it. "By the way, Father gave me only one order, to bring you there. Whether you actually find him or not is your own problem." As soon as they entered the underground area, Siani sprinted ahead. Eric was stunned. Where are you going in such a hurry? Of course, she was going to see the special treasure that could give her a happy ending. Her brother followed her again. "Do you even know which way to go from here?" At that moment, a guard approached. "Young Master Eric, you have arrived. I have gathered everyone as you ordered." "But who is this person?" "Only you and His Grace the Duke are permitted entry." "Here," Eric explained. "Let me make it clear. The Duke has given a special gift to the young lady. Among the monsters, here is a special toy that my sister wants." "Come on, sister. Why not go and look for it by yourself?" Siani pushed Eric away from her. "Stop standing so close to me. It is annoying." Did he really think she was unaware that assembling people was just to watch her make a fool of herself? She remembered the content of the novel. Ledian was located near a red wall that was marked with a family crest. She pulled a red curtain aside, while her brother gloated nearby. "Be careful, sister. What happens if you hit the wall?" She felt the wall, and right away sensed something was wrong. If she were the original Siani, she would have been totally helpless against this wall. But Siani had strength she gained from her journeys across many different worlds. She punched the wall, and it crumbled like tofu, easily shattered by her powerful strike. "Eric, because of you, I found him." A man with an angelic face lay there, sleeping peacefully. How could he possibly remain asleep through all of this noise? White powder was on the tray near his feet. Could it be that, to stop her from seeing Ledian, they had given him a drug? Eric caught up to her. "What in the world are you doing? Are you still wanting Arthur's position? Or are you just searching for a handsome Norma to play around with?" "Eric, you are really so disgusting." Siani just grabbed his collar. "Did you drug him?" Eric tried to pull her hand from him, but he discovered he could not move her hand at all. She then kicked him very hard. "I already told you not to touch me. Do I really need to rip out your tongue?" A low groan came from behind. She turned around to look. It appeared the effects of the drug were wearing off. The current Ledian was just in his teens, still a kid. He would probably enjoy some candy. This was an antidote she had prepared that was simply disguised to look like candy. "If you can remember me, I will bring you 2 more next time." Eric came near her again. "Sister, you are acting very strange at the moment. Why do you continue doing all these things you normally would not do?" Siani said angrily. "I think you have a very serious delusion. Whatever I decide to do has nothing at all to do with you. I'm not your real sister." "How can you be so unaware of yourself?" Ledian opened his eyes during all the noise. What are those two doing? In front of him was the candy Siani had left behind. He put the candy in his mouth. "It's so sweet. She is even going to give me 2 more pieces. I should tell her I do not need them." But seeing the man being beaten up in front of him, he chose to lie back down and keep pretending that he was still asleep. And Eric, after the beating, actually tolerated the pain, even when the Duke asked about it. He just said that it was because of his own training, since he held impure feelings for his sister. Siani's father hated her because his wife died in childbirth, so she intentionally wore her mother's favorite dress on the anniversary of her own mother's death. Her amazing resemblance to her mother painfully stung her father's heart. He spoke in a very cruel way to her. "Are you attempting to make a statement reminding me not to forget about your birthday?" Siani, instead of panicking, actually just smiled. Luna deceptively tried to make things better. A birthday only happens once each year. It is natural for Siani to want blessings. Eric, with his swollen face, made the situation worse. "Don't interfere. Making a big fuss over a gift is already very embarrassing." The Duke cursed her again. Such an inconsiderate person. This was how the original Siani was always suppressed by them. She felt sadness for the original owner's life. But she kept a perfect smile on her face. "Father, this time I only want to spend my birthday quietly, because my birthday has always been on Mom's death anniversary. I have never been able to truly remember her. This time, I want to remember her correctly." "What?" The Duke started to hesitate. "In fact, I already know. Everyone believes I caused Mom's death, calling me a witch when I cannot hear. I always believed you would tell me yourself that I did not cause Mom's death. Maybe I just held that hope because I was too young back then." The image of his dead wife blended with his daughter. He recalled his wife's own words. "You have always been a good husband. You can also be a wonderful father to our child." This caused a faint feeling of personal guilt within him, but then he heard Siani say, "But I am no longer focused on these things. Because what I really want, Father, you can't give me." Look at his regretful expression. Just like a fool. And then, later, at the dinner table, the Duke started to show Siani some concern, actively. But Eric and Luna quickly interrupted them with other topics ranging from jewelry investments to the locations of new stores. Siani was excluded from it all. This was information the original Siani did not know. The Duke was brave and skilled in combat, but not good at business. Their family's financial situation was not in a good state, but she knew the contents of the original story well. She knew how to make a large fortune very quickly. This would be her advantage to get her power back. When her father asked again what she wanted, she just pointed at her brother Eric's neck. And just like that, the dungeon key fell into her hands. Now all that remained was to win over the male lead, Ledian. When Siani returned back to the dungeon, she did not expect to see Ledian being physically abused. A guard was striking him while cursing. "What are you looking at, you monster? Still hoping someone will come to save a dirty thing like you?" She then emerged from the dark shadows. "What are you doing?" The man appeared very terrified. "Young lady, why have you come here? Are you just too stupid to understand me? Did I not tell you not to touch my things?" The man who was arrogant just a moment ago was pulled down forcefully by her, forced to kneel down, lying flat at her feet. Siani gripped the man's face and questioned him. "Tell me now, what is your name? Did I not say not to touch my things?" The guard quickly explained. "It was just normal training for the Norma." "Then why is he bleeding now?" "I will give you one more chance," the guard insisted. "Norma always make their bodies stronger this way. Young Master Eric knows about it too." As soon as he was done speaking, Siani fiercely grabbed his chin, seeing the man's scared face. She smiled. "What are you scared of? Isn't this how you manage people in the dungeon? What's your name?" "John. My name is John." The intense pain from his chin made his whole body tremble. How could the young lady be this strong? "All right, John, I think you are able to understand. I am the only legitimate daughter of the powerful Felicite family. The next time I arrive, I do not want to see these kinds of wounds on him again. If you understand me, then get out. There's another cutie waiting for me to say hello." Ledian had a very fierce expression. It appeared he did not like that nickname. "Hello, Ledian. You have not forgotten me, have you? I kept my promise." Siani took out 2 individual pieces of candy. Ledian lifted up his eyes and stared at her intently. "I do not need this type of thing. Tell me what you really want." Siani then finally realized, last time, because the light was very dim, she had mistaken him for a child. "Then let us make a deal. Who do you want me to kill for you?" "I do not need you to kill anyone for me. I will give you the best of everything, and I will not let anyone bully you again if you consider me your master. Not the Felicite family, just me." She lifted Ledian's face and waited for his answer, but she was rejected. "I will not acknowledge anyone weaker than me as my master, so nobody can ever be my master. Though I do not know your reason for coming here. If you are just looking for a toy to follow your whims, it definitely will not be me." She just popped the candy into his mouth. "Very good. It seems you have your own ideas now." She patted Ledian's head. "After some more time, I will get you out of here." In Ledian's eyes, all nobles were both very foolish and selfish. They all expected complete loyalty until death for only small pieces of kindness. Siani only suddenly moved very close to him, and with a click, the inhibitor on his neck came off. "Although I can only take this off for now. One day I will give you your freedom." Ledian was trained as a killing machine ever since he was a child. He was so powerful he even needed drugs and inhibitors for control. When he went berserk, he destroyed everything near him. Yet Siani had easily removed his shackles. He did not understand her reasons, but he knew one thing for sure. He would never swear his loyalty to a weak human. And Siani, when she was back in her room, faced a brand new problem. Her ex-fiancé suddenly sent an invitation for her to meet him. Only she was aware that this man, Arthur Benito, who seemed gentle and kind on the surface, and was known by many as a good man, was really a two-faced, arrogant, and crazy person. He was a very manipulative and deceptive type of person. Naino Siani chased and adored him. He treated her just like she was a plague. But after they broke off their engagement and she vanished completely from his own world, he truly started to regret it. Then he looked through all his letters, but could not find any from Siani. Instead, he found one that was signed by Luna. After he repeatedly confirmed that Siani had not replied at all to the invitation, he then found it to be completely unbelievable. That same woman, when he was stationed in another place, had written more than a dozen letters demanding the return of their engagement. He touched his left hand, where he once wore their engagement ring. After hearing his subordinate suggest she might have finally given up, he squeezed his hand so hard he cut his finger. He rubbed the new wound, remembering Siani's past obsession with him. It was clearly a burden and an annoyance, but for it to just vanish without any trace, this new feeling was extremely unsettling. Meanwhile, at the Duke's mansion, John was reporting to Eric. "The young lady has removed Ledian's inhibitor, a madman whom many strong men could not even get near. Not only did he not harm her, but he was also obedient to her. Redian would vomit blood and be unable to sleep without his medicine, but after Siani left him, he fell asleep. John wondered, could the young lady have possibly used some kind of special ability? Eric denied that idea. How could she possibly have a thing like that? The Merry Empire was established after a powerful goddess sealed away the demons among the 4 founding families. There has not been a descendant with spiritual power for many, many years. If she had that type of ability, why would the Duke have ignored her to adopt Luna and me? He remembered the very first time he ever saw Siani. He felt his heart was about to burst from his chest. The only thing she can do is be darkly beautiful in a corner. Siani declined Arthur Benito's invitation. Her young maid, Daisy, was a little worried. All right, stop worrying. Just do the thing I asked you to do. They were busy brewing a full jar of candy. It was the same kind Siani gave Redian before, filled with an antidote. In her last transmigration, she had at one time been an apothecary. A male lead from that life had ordered her to kill a little prince, but after Siani had possessed that body, she saw the prince smile, say he feared bitterness, yet still obediently took the medicine. She suddenly understood the boy might have known all along she was poisoning him, as if he was willingly letting himself be poisoned by her. So later on she made the poisons look like candies and chocolates. However, before the prince could die, she was killed by that male lead. Looking at Daisy, who resembled the boy. I'll make some for you too. Daisy just stood right there, completely stunned. Now Daisy, it has a protective effect for your hands. When Daisy thanked her with a happy expression, that strange feeling surfaced once again. That little prince, whose fate she never knew, was like a complete fool. How could he just accept it so easily, without knowing if what she gave was poison? When Siani arrived at the dungeon once again, she did not see John, the one she had taught a lesson to last time. It appeared that he had run away, fearing her coming punishment. Then you can inform your superior that I have come here to visit Redian. Just as she turned, she heard knights whispering. Isn't it very dangerous now? What if something happens to the young lady if she goes inside? So what if she actually dies? No one here will blame us anyway. If anyone is to blame, it will be that monster inside. Redian had not woken up yet, and his wounds had not fully healed. Siani started to apply some medicine to him. You must be sick of it as well. Trapped inside a tiny room, not knowing when the sun rises. Wasting your time repeating the same meaningless things every single day. Speaking of which, we are not so different. She was reborn so many times that her own memories were starting to become unclear. We are like shackled beasts, Siani murmured to herself. You asked me last time what it was that I wanted. I just want to stay alive. According to the original book's plot, Redian would soon escape from the dungeon. Siani wanted to escape this current world and go back to reality, and could only do that by helping him, the male lead. She just did not know that Redian had been awake the whole time, since only Siani leaves unharmed. The knights who came near him, just out of simple curiosity, got a completely different treatment. Redian violently pinned them to the ground in a single instant. What are you sneaky little rats doing in here? One of the knights trembled and begged him for mercy, just as he was about to kill them. He then remembered what Siani had said to him earlier. Redian suppressed his desire to kill. Get out of here, before I make the decision to kill you. Strangely, whenever he thought of Siani, Redian's violent emotions would begin to calm down. Meanwhile, the Duke was in a bad mood. His adjutant showed his hand, boasting that Siani had given out ointment to all the maids. Curious about it, he asked for some to try, and after he applied it, even some of his old scars healed. Seeing the Duke's very evasive gaze, the adjutant gave a wicked smile. Heavens, your grace, you did not receive any from the young lady. The Duke held back his anger and said that he had not. The adjutant was even more entertained. Perhaps that is because your grace has a magic stone, so she did not give you any. That is enough from you. That child probably does not know I suffer from the side effects of the magic stone. Is this why everyone says raising children is useless? The adjutant became serious. To be honest with you, your grace, the young lady basically grew up all alone. Your grace was away at war for years at a time. After the Duchess died, there were rumors the Duke's family was cursed. In a place like that, the young lady was always by herself. And when you finally came back, you brought young Master Eric and Miss Luna with you. The Duke replied sharply, Are you trying to say I deserve not to get any? The adjutant went on. Actually, I do not know what the young lady did wrong, to be mocked by all as the Red Witch of Felicity. Siani had intended to learn about the Norma training, but she did not expect it would lead her to discover a new secret. When the Duke's family trained their Norma, they would put special inhibitors on them. If anyone resisted or caused any trouble, their necks would be painfully constricted. Siani learned this from a training officer that her father, the Duke, was unaware of this practice. This entire system was implemented privately by Eric, based on John's advice. Because the special inhibitors prevented the Norma from being able to resist, some of the training officers became even more abusive towards them. Soon Siani and the officer reached the last person. He was Valentine, an illegitimate son of the Dessalines royal family. Siani remembered, in the book, that when Redian became the crown prince, Dessalines also had a young king who took the throne after killing his father. The training officer, as if energized, yelled, "Pick up your sword. Today I am going to beat that very bad habit out of you." With those words, he lunged forward. Valentine sidestepped, easily dodging the attack. "What are you talking about? You need to be worthy of me drawing my sword." Valentine easily dodged every attack and with just one kick, sent the man flying. The officer fell down and cursed, only to be mocked again by Valentine. "And you call yourself a training officer, truly overrating yourself." He stepped on the officer's head, grinding it into the dirt. Someone then exclaimed that the young lady Siani had arrived. The training officer ran forward to warn her to be careful. "This man is as dangerous as Redian." But she walked straight toward him. Not only that, Siani also picked up the sword that had fallen onto the ground and then turned and swung it directly at Valentine. This time, Valentine finally drew his own sword. The large gap in talent and strength could not be bridged by just training alone. But there were other ways to win. That was to find a single weakness and then to launch a very fierce attack. From the start of the fight, Valentine had been intentionally protecting his right shoulder. If Siani had not been skilled in swordsmanship before, she would not have noticed this small difference. The sword in Valentine's hand was knocked away by her. "Are you Valentine? Your shoulder cannot handle this type of training. Is that right? I will arrange something different for you that will let you use your abilities." Valentine was still unconvinced. "No, this round is totally invalid." Siani, whose attention was completely focused on Valentine, did not notice Radian's appearance. "Didn't you just attack after you saw my weakness? In contrast, I have absolutely no information about you. Most importantly, a lady who is out of breath after a few swings of a sword does not seem to have the right to command me. Please do not tarnish the rules with such unfair play." His ungrateful and very arrogant behavior angered Siani. "It is ridiculous to hear that from you. Beating up the training officer and making a complete mess of the sparring match. Is that what you would call the rules? Why don't you wait until your own head gets chopped off on the battlefield before saying that? In the kingdom of Dessalines? Or what etiquette should a loser show to a victor? You must not forget this etiquette before you return to your country and see your father. Think very carefully about who can send you back to the kingdom and to whom you, in your weakened state, should swear your loyalty." Radian's expression became darker and even darker, but Valentine just smiled. "The kingdom's etiquette, did you say?" He knelt and kissed the back of Siani's hand. "I offer you Dessalines' blessing." Although it was a submissive posture, his eyes still held an uncontrollable ambition. "Since you were able to defeat me with this hand, please save me with this hand." Siani had only just subdued one new knight, yet it made Radian so incredibly jealous that he went berserk on the spot. Sir Neville was originally the Duke's most capable and trusted subordinate. Recognizing Radian's talent, he joined the dungeon on the condition that he could teach him. They were only having a simple sparring practice session, but Radian abruptly started to go berserk. Sir Neville shouted Radian's name, telling him to calm down, while also yelling for someone to go and quickly get a tranquilizer gun. He was like a completely changed person, giving off an ominous aura. Like a demon. "What? Radian? It seems that humans have forgotten my real name. Did I not say I would definitely return? The woman I was looking for has finally returned." Just as he was about to crush Sir Neville's head, someone spoke suddenly. "The training is over. Radian." It was Siani extending her hand. In the original story, Radian had also gone berserk. It was a heavy feeling sensed just from his gaze. She stared intently at Radian, telling herself even if she was scared, she could not show it, because the moment she flinched, a wild beast would bite her neck. Radian approached and grabbed Siani's hand. The instant they touched, his eyes cleared from chaos to clarity. Siani blinked, thinking, he must be clear-headed now. Radian only felt a very bad splitting headache. She just nervously gripped him. Are you feeling dizzy? He replied, seeing what just happened. Aren't you afraid of me? She just knew she could not provoke him anymore. What situation? You were stumbling around like a newborn? Fool, Radian said in a cold voice. Don't pretend that you don't know. There are many Norma who can kneel and swear an oath to you just like before. Whether it is for sparring or for vows of loyalty, go and find someone else. Siani had thought Radian was someone she could easily persuade and tame, but he turned out to be much trickier than she had ever imagined. Radian once again said harsh words. Stop appearing before me and being an eyesore. If she could, Siani would leave too. But she could not. She had to stay by Radian's side to survive until the very end. Siani continued, You obviously care about me, otherwise you would not have regained your senses just from hearing my voice. You are right. There are many people who would kneel and pledge their loyalty at my word. But what I want is only you, Radian. Radian's tone was very icy. What do you want from me? But the heartbeat Siani felt in her palm was far from his calm outward appearance. Didn't I say this before? I give you your freedom, and you take me as your master. And at this very moment in the imperial palace, the emperor received Grand Duke Benito and his son Arthur. Seeing Arthur's young face, the emperor remembered the past. His own younger sister had once been engaged to the Benito family, but she fell in love with the master of the magic tower and had a child without marriage. To hide the secret, nobles sent by the emperor forced the master to dispose of the child, even though the emperor resisted again and again. His position was not stable as he had just taken the throne. And so, in the end, he could not save his sister's child. If that child were alive, he would be around Arthur's age now. Merely because she received a personal letter from the emperor, Siani was again judged by her family. Her foolish father did not even open the letter, condemning his daughter before he knew its contents. During the meeting with Grand Duke Benito, the emperor got some interesting news. The Belen region, which he was watching, had most of its land purchased by the young lady of the Felicite family. And this name struck a very familiar chord with Siani's ex-fiancé. Looking at the laughing emperor, the Grand Duke boldly stepped forward. Is something funny, Your Majesty? You just mentioned the young lady of Felicite. Our family also has a very close connection with her. Right, Arthur? He had not expected his own father to use him, but he could only agree with him. That is right. Although the engagement was ended, as her fiancé, we were together for a very long time, the emperor scoffed. Something interesting has indeed happened, and while I would love to tell you all about it, but since the engagement is now off, I suppose you are not that close anymore. If your relationship with her was truly that good, why don't you go ask the young lady yourself? Meanwhile, Siani was looking into a magic crystal, where trainers, led by John, were talking badly about her. Because Siani had successfully tamed Radian and Valentine one after the other, the ones who opposed her began to feel a sense of crisis. John provoked the other two. The Duke has already abandoned the young lady. She is the one who killed her own mother. How could the Duke ever acknowledge her? She did not even dare to say a word when the engagement was broken. What a bunch of clowns, she thought, making a note of these fools. Suddenly, Siani felt a strong palpitation in her heart. In the process of merging with this new body, she had been receiving the memories of the original Siani. In a very familiar memory, her father told her with extreme coldness that she was the great shame of the family. Even then, the original Siani had stoically agreed with a blank expression. She could feel it now. The sad and hurt emotions that were hidden beneath that cold exterior meant the original Siani had also wandered in great pain. Just at that moment, the adjutant arrived. The Duke had summoned her to him. Daisy excitedly insisted Siani bring the special ointment for the Duke. She suspected things would not be simple, but she did not expect the family's vassals to be present. Her father took out a letter. This is from His Majesty. Do you have anything to say? It had the imperial seal. Just as she was about to speak, someone interrupted her, shouting for her to confess all her sins. Eric looked as if he was enjoying the entire show. Almost everyone present was just waiting to see her make a complete fool of herself. Her father spoke up again. Since it is from His Majesty, we are not able to open it. If you have anything you need to confess, you better say it right now. They had already condemned her without reading the letter. Siani retorted, Father, do you agree with them? Do you also believe I have committed some grave sin? Siani's calm gaze made the Duke feel a sharp pang of guilt. After all, getting a letter from His Majesty is no small thing. Normally, Siani would not have felt anything, but perhaps because she had merged with more of the original Siani's memories, she felt a wave of sadness. This was followed by anger. She declared loudly, "If I have done anything wrong, I will take responsibility for the family's honor and give up my life." The Duke shot up from his seat, agitated. "Siani, what are you saying?" She ignored him and continued, "But if I have not, then every vassal here must take responsibility for having so casually insulted me." The Duke told Siani to read the letter out loud. It turned out the Emperor was simply inviting her to meet him at the Benito family's welcome party. Siani showed the letter to everyone in front of them. "I have never once damaged the Felicite family name. To think so many vassals gathered here just to target me. I am sorry to have disappointed you all." She called for her maid. "By the way, Father, I noticed there are some old injuries on your hand. This special ointment should help them to heal. I never thought giving some medicine would be so very difficult." She lifted her skirt and then she took her leave gracefully. Siani had meant to punish the vassals, but seeing the Duke's stunned face, she felt it was pointless. "Sister, please wait for me." Eric grabbed her arm. He grinned widely, maliciously. "I was so busy with His Majesty's letter that I forgot to tell you. The eldest son of the Benito family is coming to visit today. It seems that he wants to greet you before the big welcome party. Even though he grew tired of you, he could not possibly be here for Luna today, could he?" Siani responded to him coldly. "I am not interested." As she turned to leave, he blocked her again. "Don't lie, sister. Arthur, the man you desperately clung to, is coming to our home," Siani said with anger. "Eric, you are too rude. Do not touch me. I know you're trying to provoke me, but I don't have time for you now." For the first time, Eric panicked. He realized that nothing he did could get a reaction out of Siani anymore. In the original book story, Arthur and Luna met for the very first time at the welcome party. He fell completely in love with the sister of the woman he had abandoned. His arrival here today meant the entire plot had been disrupted, but it did not matter how the original story was changed. As long as she could survive, it was time to go and see Ledian. Meanwhile, Arthur had already just arrived at the Duke's manor, facing the brother and sister who came out to greet him. Arthur was very polite on the surface, but on the inside he was extremely annoyed. The person that he was looking for was Siani, not these two very unimpressive individuals. If his father had not ordered him to win Siani over, he would never have come to this place. Eric, completely unaware of his impatience, invited him inside to talk for a while. Arthur looked around, searching for any sign of Siani. "Whatever. I will just turn them down for now." Just as he was about to speak, a voice came from the staircase. "My lady, you look as if you have stepped right out of the Duchess's portrait today." Siani whispered, "Daisy, be quiet." Unlike her usual flashy clothing, she was wearing a simple white dress with a few pearls, looking like a pure lily. Arthur found himself just staring, momentarily stunned. Eric followed his gaze and turned, murmuring, "Sister." Luna's eyes were looking down. Her expression was displeased. The Duke's adjutant announced, "My lady, the young Lord of Benito, has arrived." Siani came down the stairs, slowly smiling at Arthur. "Luna's skills at making dessert are excellent. Please enjoy yourself." Arthur called her name, but Siani did not stop walking right past him. This obvious disregard finally removed his hypocritical mask. Siani gave Ledian a piece of candy and pinched his cheek, making him blush a deep red. But just a few days ago, he had glared at her very fiercely and said, "Stay far away from me." He would only serve a single master in his entire life, and he was not going to be brushed off with just a few pieces of candy. However, his jealous behavior was completely misunderstood by Siani as a childish tantrum. "I was paying special attention to you yesterday." Siani held out her hand. Ledian was very confused. "What are you doing now?" Siani did not explain, just telling him to hold out his hand to Ledian, who resisted. "Are you treating me like I am a dog?" But at Siani's urging, he reluctantly obeyed her. To his surprise, Siani began to massage his wrist. "I noticed yesterday that you have a habit of flexing your wrist. It must get very tired from holding a heavy sword for so long. I will have the tailor make you a pair of training gloves to protect your hands." Ledian grabbed her hand back from his and squeezed it. "Do you do this exact thing to other guys, too? Always touching them, giving them strange candies, and even visiting them late at night? Siani finally realized her actions might be a little bit dangerous. Were you awake that night? Radian did not deny it. How could I possibly have been asleep? Do you have any idea what the guys trapped in here have actually done? Why are monsters like us not permitted to be saved? If I had not held back with all my might that night, do you have any real idea what I would have done to you? It is something you cannot even imagine. She had always known Radian was very dangerous. Every time his blue eyes stared at her, it felt like being wrapped by a cold, venomous snake. But until now, his repeated warnings seemed more like an attempt to scare her away from him. Although he always said very frightening things to her, his actions were just the opposite. She could not tame Radian with only force. But Siani could do it with psychology. Because people are naturally curious. Do you know what I did this morning? You are the one who. Can you even imagine the evil things I have committed? Have you ever heard my nickname? The Red Witch of Felicity? Siani gently blew into Radian's ear. Radian flinched and pulled back, his face exploding with color. What are you doing? I told you to be careful with this type of behavior. Siani smiled. What if I am not careful? Are you going to kill me? Radian was silent for a moment. Then Radian clenched his fist tightly. That is because I can hold back. But the other guys here might not be able to. Even if they swear a special oath to your eyes, don't get close to them like you do with me. And you especially must not blow in their ears, she asked. So it's not dangerous if I am just talking? Radian replied, No, it is very dangerous because we are used to being abandoned. When we feel warmth, we can never forget that feeling. It is a monstrous habit and instinct. That is the line Radian said in the original story when he finally killed me. But we are not in conflict now, so it should be fine, right? Siani thought, hoping for the best. Still, the young man needed to be calmed down. Siani pinched Radian's cheek. Again, I'm only having gloves made for you, so are you willing to come with me now? Radian's eyes trembled. Okay, he finally answered. Meanwhile, after Siani had left, the Duke stared blankly at the ointment in his hand, a hint of guilt on his face. But the vassals continued their bad-mouthing. The Emperor's letter did not even say why he wants to see the young lady. After all, she has a history of causing trouble. I heard she has recently taken an interest in those monsters down in the dungeon. If she was half as sensible as Lady Luna, she would not have had her engagement broken by the young Lord of Benito. Suddenly, a young voice interrupted. That is nonsense. How could the cancelled engagement be considered the young lady's fault? Furthermore, the fact that the Emperor personally wrote a letter to her surely demonstrates her abilities, doesn't it? He did this while all the other people were saying terrible things about the young lady. This particular man made the choice to support her and remain on her side. He continued his accusations, even if it meant that he would make an enemy out of everyone else present. My lord, during all of the years that you were away from here, they forced the young lady to sit in the master's chair and relentlessly slandered, mocked, and blamed her for everything. A group of grown adults bullied a small child until she was silent. After Ellen's father died, he had to become the new head of his household when he was only 10 years old. Siani was even younger than he was back then. He personally saw all of the difficult things she had to endure. However, at that time, he was far too young to do anything besides stand by and watch it all happen. From now on, he would not continue to just stand by and do nothing. My lord, I am begging you to please investigate the real reason why the young lady is called the shame of the family. An opposing vassal shouted loudly, You are an arrogant little brat. Who do you possibly think you are yelling at right now? My lord, I request that you please take away Ellen's privilege to attend any more of the vassals' meetings. The Duke's face became very serious. Before we do that, I need to ask a question. Is everything that Ellen said the truth? It was only just today that the Duke finally understood what a horrible father he had been. But he was not sure if he still had time to fix it. Siani brought Radian out from the dungeon, and then asked for a pair of training gloves for her personal night guard. The tailor was completely amazed by the handsome appearance of Radian. How could a person who looks like this be just a simple guard? However, he decided not to ask any more questions. He only needed to focus on doing his job properly. Although Siani ignored the invitation from her ex-fiancé due to the Emperor's letter, she still made the decision that she would attend the biennial families party. All of a sudden, a terrified scream could be heard from nearby. The tailor was shaking all over because he was so scared. Ledian turned his body away. I am a little shy when I am around strangers. I do not like it when people touch me. Siani frowned because of that frightening look on his face. It would be very strange if people were not afraid. Siani let out a sigh and said, "Give that to me. I will be the one to measure him." As he was watching Siani take all of his measurements, Ledian unexpectedly asked her, "Do I really look that aggressive?" "What?" "Every person seems to get scared whenever they look at me," he said, as he pulled the edge of his hood down lower, as he made an attempt to hide his face from view. However, only a few moments before, his expression looked like it could kill someone. Is he asking this question because he truly does not know the answer? He saw that Siani was not giving him an answer. He looked a bit disappointed. "Actually, I am already very used to being seen as a monster." Siani reassured him. "No, it is because you are extremely handsome. People are just startled when they see you for the first time." "Are they not scared?" he continued to ask. "So do you believe that I am scary, my lady?" Ledian was the most handsome man she had seen in any of her lives. However, she did not feel there was any reason to tell him that. She turned around to leave. "The tailor is selecting the fabric." "I will go have a look," Ledian persisted. "I have not yet heard your answer." He was being very stubborn. "From the way you are speaking, it sounds as if you want me to be afraid of you. I will return very soon. You need to wait here and be obedient." Right as she was stepping outside, she noticed that Daisy was looking very sad. From somewhere behind her, a person appeared and greeted her with a smile on his face. It was Arthur. He had been following her. She quickly pulled Daisy to the side and whispered something into her ear. "Go and find Luna and Eric and let them know the young lord is here." Arthur looked directly at her. "I would like to ask you, why did you decline my invitation to the party? When he was waiting patiently for me? Or is that old habit of yours starting again? Are you playing hard simply to get my attention?" Arthur began to touch her inappropriately, so she gave him a hard push. However, he seemed to be mentally unwell. The more cold and distant she acted toward him, the more excited he became. To convince Siani that she should attend his special return banquet, Arthur had made the effort to come to her in person, and because she already had to attend due to the Emperor's invitation, she simply decided not to refuse his request. Because of this, he began to act arrogant. "Since you accepted my invitation so quickly, why did you decide to see?" Siani interrupted him. "It appears you actually need my help. You are not planning to use me as bait to get His Majesty to come to your party, are you? Because you came to deliver the invitation yourself, I will accept it. But this method will not work again in the future." Arthur lifted one of his eyebrows. "What was that you just said?" Siani sneered at him. "If you ever want to invite me again, you will have to get on your knees and beg me. Or maybe you could bark like a dog several times. Then I might just feel some pity for you." Instead of becoming angry with her, Arthur actually began to laugh. He boldly stroked Siani's face. "Siani Felicite, what sort of little game do you think you are playing this time?" She spoke with a look of disgust. "Are you out of your mind? Get your hands away from me." Arthur spoke in an arrogant tone. "It is only because of me that you are even treated like a human in this place. Have you forgotten all about that so soon?" He did not let go of her. Instead, he squeezed her face even more tightly. "I'm the only person who is able to save you. How can you dare to treat me this way?" She pulled Arthur's hand off her. "Even after everything that has happened, you still do not understand it. You are really not that special. I have grown very tired of you. You need to stop your delusional thinking and just get lost now." Being yelled at like this seemed to excite him. "You are telling me to get lost? This is the very first time I have ever seen you act this way. It would have been much better if you had acted like this sooner. You used to be like a doll that anyone could play with. However, you are much more interesting to me now, and you also look extremely beautiful today. If you had only shown me this side of yourself back when we were engaged, then perhaps we could have actually continued with our relationship." He pulled Siani into his arms. "From the very moment you stopped sending letters to me, I should have looked into whether you had found a new supporter. Tell me, is it the Emperor? Or has some other crazy person made a marriage proposal to you?" She was not able to listen to any more of this. Just how weak and easily controlled was the original Siani. For him to be able to treat her in such a casual manner, she gave Arthur a very hard push. His head was knocked down. Siani sneered. "Oh dear, that was my mistake. You frightened me when you suddenly pulled me toward you like that." Besides that, considering what our relationship is now, this distance is much too close for us. Young lord, will you not be in some trouble if I decide not to attend the welcome party? And yet you still have the nerve to insult me in this situation? You are either a complete idiot, or you have managed to find some very powerful new supporter. She repeated the exact words Arthur had just said, right back to him. Just as his anger started to grow, Luna and Eric arrived. Young lord, you told us you wanted to see the gallery by yourself. Why are you here? Damn it, he quietly muttered to himself under his breath. However, when he turned around again, he had already returned to his normal, gentlemanly behavior. My apologies. I just happened to run into the young lady by chance while I was searching for the gallery. Siani started to expose his lies. Young lord, I will not forget the kindness that you have shown me by coming all this way just to give me an invitation. If you had told me earlier that you were here to see me, then Eric and Luna would not have needed to waste all their energy attempting to please you. Furthermore, you and I have no relationship with each other now, so for you to just show up here completely uninvited is quite impolite. Do you understand what I am trying to say? Siani's words were delivering a very clear message, telling him to get lost and to never return again. She lifted her skirt slightly and gave him an elegant farewell. Well then, I offer you congratulations one more time on your safe return. But Siani's heart was not nearly as calm as her outward appearance suggested. She felt extremely annoyed. The uneven beating of her heart revealed her internal emotional struggle. However, these particular feelings did not belong to her. They were the leftover obsessions from the body of the original owner. Even the young tailor was able to see that she did not look very well. Siani told him that she was fine, and then asked him if the fabric was now ready. The tailor suddenly paused. That night you brought with you earlier. While I could be wrong, my grandfather once told me a story. The legend says that the Demon King was as handsome as an angel is. Siani felt confused. My knight is certainly very handsome. But what does his appearance have to do with any of this? The tailor began to explain. The main symbol of that powerful demon's curse is a pair of sinister-looking black eyes. In the original novel, after she founded the Mieta Empire, the goddess Thea kept the demon king Pitane by her side, who had always waged war against the empire, right by her. But soon after that, she decided to seal him away, and the goddess, who was believed to be immortal and live forever, died at the same time as Pitane. This story was a part of the nation's founding myth, and the young tailor had just now seen Radian with pupils that appeared to be black. The novel she had read never said that anyone had black eyes, but the book did specifically describe Radian's eyes as being blue. If this information was about any other person, she could simply ignore it. However, because it was about the male lead, she could not dismiss it so easily. At that moment, Radian came to find her. Come over here, Siani commanded him. The man obediently walked over toward her. You are much too tall, you need to lower your head. After Radian leaned down toward her, Siani slowly reached out with her hands. His face immediately turned bright red. What do you think you are doing? Siani cupped his face with both of her hands. Do not move. So that she could get a better look, she gently brushed the hair away from his forehead. His eyes were definitely blue. Perhaps it was because of all the shadows. They had only appeared to be black when she first looked. She then noticed that something seemed to be wrong with him. What is the matter? Are you not feeling well? Your cheeks feel so warm. Radian suddenly stood up straight. His heart was beating so fast that he could hardly speak. It is the candy. Ever since the day I ate the candy that you gave to me, something inside me has always felt a little strange. The thing I gave you to eat was medicine. That is actually good for you. I do not tell lies because I completely hate shameful and dishonest actions. So you can definitely trust me. Seeing Siani's very direct expression, he could not possibly admit that it was because he was feeling shy. So he decided to change the subject. I happened to see some maids when I was on my way here. They were the ones who told me that you were here. I overheard them saying that somebody was causing you to feel pain. Was it that man you were with before? Siani knew that he was asking her a question about Arthur, but he was not important enough to cause her any pain. When was the last time she had genuinely felt pain? During the process of living over and over again in the place of other people, she had come to understand far too deeply that spending her energy on emotions was a complete waste of time. If you do not feel love for anyone, then you cannot be hurt, and so you will naturally never feel any pain, Siani said in a cold voice. There is no one who can make me suffer. Suffering is caused by having pointless expectations. Radiant's expression became serious. Are you telling me you expect nothing from anyone? That is correct. But if you ever decide to betray me, I will feel heartbroken, Radian replied. Then what will happen if you decide to betray me, my lady? That is not going to happen, she complained to herself. If I ever betrayed a crazy man like you, I would be completely finished. Okay. Unexpectedly, Radian insisted on this point. In that situation, if you betray me at some point in the future, then no matter what I decide to do to you, you will have to accept every bit of it. At that very moment, there was a quiet knock at the door. She placed the hood back over Radiant's head. Luna suddenly burst into the room. The second she came into the room, her eyes focused on Radian. I am so sorry. I was feeling a little worried about what had happened before. I really did not expect that you would be with a guest right now. Siani introduced him to her. This is a Norma from the dungeon. I had to take care of some urgent business, so I brought him along with me. Radian played his part, moving a bit closer to her. It is now time for my training. Please take me back to the dungeon. Siani asked him, will you be all right going back by yourself now? Are you worried about my safety? She had nearly forgotten that an unrestrained Radian was a person no one would ever dare to challenge. However, she did not expect that her smile would draw Luna's attention to her. After she took Radian back down to the dungeon, she then invited Luna to take a seat. Unlike the way Eric was in the original story, Luna felt extremely uncomfortable when she was around Siani, and so the two of them had almost never spoken to each other. But today, she had come to find her. She mentioned Arthur. I came here because I was feeling a bit worried about what happened before. But for the young lord to deliver the invitation himself, it really seems like his feelings for you must be very strong, sister. Does it really appear to be that way? Yes. This is the first welcome party the Benito family has hosted in many years. It must be a very grand event. As the young lady of the Felicite family, you absolutely must attend. Sister Siani finally lost her patience. Luna, you are not normally this talkative. What is it that you truly want to say to me? It was only at that moment that Luna finally revealed her real reason for coming to see her. By the way, that man was Radian, wasn't he? The most powerful one among all the Norma. The one that even father and my brother cannot handle casually. Siani simply confirmed that it was him. She did not have anything she needed to hide from her. I understand. I heard from my brother that he requires a very strong restraint to keep him under control. But that does not seem to be true with you, sister. Siani frowned. What do you mean by that, not the case? It is the very first time I have ever seen you with that sort of expression on your face, sister. So I thought that you two were quite close. Because of her intervention in the events, the intended path of the original story had now been broken. Luna's initial meetings with the different male leads were completely ruined because of what she had done, but she never had any intention of becoming involved with the main characters. Does it appear that way? I only feel that since I have been given the key to the dungeon, I must try my best to manage it properly. Luna suddenly became very quiet, and after a long moment of silence, she quietly muttered to herself, just as I thought. Everything that my sister has is always so grand and very beautiful. He had abandoned his own biological daughter for a full 8 years, gave all his affection to his adopted children, and now he wanted to ask for his daughter's forgiveness. However, he did not realize that a father's love that comes far too late is not worth anything at all. Siani's tone of voice was very cold. It does not matter at all. It is just the same old story. When he saw his daughter was about to leave, the Duke started to panic. I am ready to give you the full authority to punish all of the vassals. Siani's interest was suddenly sparked. The authority to punish them, you say? That is correct. I want you to be the one to personally judge them for committing the crime of insulting the young lady. The great power to decide the very life and death of the vassals was now completely hers to control, and Siani, of course, accepted the offer with great pleasure. But she understood very well that keeping them on a leash was much better than just chopping off their heads. Regardless, the power was now hers to use, so she thought she might as well make complete use of these terrible scoundrels. By saying his daughter was willing to give all the vassals another chance. The old father felt very relieved when he saw his daughter's mature decision, not knowing that she was really thinking about how she would properly handle them. However, he was still curious. How did you know the barren region had so much potential for development? It is quite simple, father. Why do you believe that nobody cares at all about the barren region? Isn't it just because the imperial family has no interest in it? Additionally, it is a worthless piece of land that has no value for development. Then why does it look as though the imperial family has made a group decision to avoid providing any sort of development or support for that particular area? The Duke then remembered that the earlier news regarding the barren region had been almost completely suppressed. It seemed as if someone was intentionally stopping people from noticing that specific area. The imperial family has concealed a place. It is getting ready for a very large-scale development project that will stay hidden until all of the preparations for mining are finally finished. Ciani knew what was going to happen in the future because she had already read the original novel. I will explain everything to His Majesty when we are at the Benito family's welcome party, so you do not need to worry. Her father was surprised. You are planning to go to the welcome party? Yes. The young lord came to give me the invitation in person, he thought, remembering the bastard who had been bullying his daughter for so many years. He gritted his teeth together in absolute hatred. Ciani suddenly spoke. Father, I have a request to make of you. The Duke immediately became very attentive. This was the very first time that his daughter had ever asked him for something. On the very next day, he called for all of the best designers in the entire imperial capital to come for his daughter. One maid said, with a lot of envy, I heard that they had to cancel all of their other appointments and pay a fine that was 10 times the normal fee because their custom-made dresses were suddenly canceled. The noble ladies are all crying, talking about how the young lady is a greedy villainess. Luckily, we had hired a mid-level designer, so we were not affected by this. Another maid complained angrily, since so many of the best designers were summoned here, could she not spare just one single dress for Our Lady, please? The young lady is so jealous of Lady Luna. How could she ever possibly share with her? Luna spoke in a sorrowful tone. Just forget about it. How could I ever dare to go against my sister? All of these designers were called here just for her. Even her party invitation was delivered in person by the young lord of the Benito family. How can I possibly compare to that? The maids quickly rushed to comfort her. No matter what, you are the most beautiful one. The young lady cannot compare to you at all. She is just greedy and always takes everything for herself. Exactly. Sister has always had a love for pretty and amazing things. She then thought about the silver-haired man and the cold look that he had given to her, which only made her want to take him away for herself even more strongly. Luna's actions caused the general feeling toward Ciani beside the ducal manor to become negative again, but she could not care any less. When compared to these small tricks, her main target was the Emperor. Ciani's next move involved the man who was known in the original story as the genius Bergman Dietrich. In a bustling room, hushed murmurs fill the air as tailors work on beautiful gowns. Mr. Genius looks worried, having heard whispers that she is hideous. Two men gossip, confirming the rumor that Lord Arthur was so repulsed by her that he broke off the engagement. One man hopes she does not pick his dress, thinking that is why House Felicite could not say anything about the engagement getting called off. He feels revolted, just thinking about some ugly girl wearing it right before a loud knock announces that her ladyship is here. Two tailors are visibly shocked and let out an ack as the door opens. One man, utterly bewildered, mumbles, "Whoa, no way, that is Lady Ciani." Mr. Genius stares wide-eyed, clearly surprised by Lady Ciani's appearance. Lady Ciani makes a grand entrance, looking stunning with her flowing golden hair and elegant dress. Lady Ciani confidently takes a seat, ready to address the room. With a challenge, she asks the gathered tailors who the best is here, and if it is none of them. A polite tailor apologizes for the delay, admitting he was a bit bewildered by her question. The tailor dismisses his rival's high sales, claiming his own atelier only deals in limited editions. Lady Ciani, now visibly angered, demands to know what he means by that. She silences the tailors, declaring she did not ask them to gather here so they could bicker with each other. She explains her father generously gathered them because she only wants the best, and casually mentions they will still be paid for breach of contract compensation if they quit. Lady Ciani issues a daunting challenge. They have 3 days to make the perfect dress for her to wear, holding up 3 fingers with a confident smile. One tailor reacts in disbelief, exclaiming that 3 days is too short. Lady Ciani's gaze sharpens as she states she told them what she wants is the best, and if they cannot do it, then they should give up and go home. She leans back, asking if they are scared, watching their reactions. A heavy silence falls over the room as the tailors consider her impossible demand. Lady Siani observes one tailor, Bergman, thinking with hope that he can do it in 3 days. Bergman steps forward, requesting to leave immediately so he can get started. Lady Siani recognizes Bergman as the designer who went down in history in the novel. Bergman, flustered, adjusts his glasses. Meanwhile, Ledian stands outside, looking quite serious. Another man approaches Ledian, pleased to see he is working so hard and that his face is looking better too. The man glares playfully at Ledian, noticing happily that the many injuries that were on his face are now gone. Observing Ledian's improved complexion, the man is relieved, thinking it means they are not messing with his food anymore. The man playfully complains that Ledian is not answering him and is still as rude as ever. In a flashback, a younger Ledian meets Neville, who introduces himself simply as Neville. Young Ledian bluntly tells Neville he is ugly, making Neville think he is a rude little brat, but he is intrigued by the boy. Meanwhile, Arthur sits smoking a pipe in a grand room. Neville confronts him, asking why he is gathering children. Arthur explains he is carrying out his wife's dying wish by gathering children with potential. Neville looks concerned, asking if that potential is the potential to be raised as a human weapon. When Neville tries to object, Arthur interrupts, asking if he seems that barbaric, as a fearsome monster is briefly seen. He explains he would not have sunk all this money into building a subterranean castle if he wanted human weapons, which makes Neville pause. The man reassures Neville to just trust and follow, stating he may not be a trustworthy person. Many years later, Ledian is now a handsome, grown man, and Neville is surprised he has gotten a little taller. Ledian simply replies, "It is because of the candy." Neville is speechless as Ledian continues, because he had never seen Ledian smile. On the morning of the reception, Bergman proudly thinks about how he embellished the neckline with the highest quality pearls to emphasize a ladylike aesthetic. The tailor scoffs, thinking how laughable it is that Bergman used pearls, as brilliant sapphires suit her ladyship better. The two tailors glare intensely at each other, one calling the other an absurd man, and the other retorting he could say the same. Another tailor smiles, explaining he adorned flowing frills on the skirt and sleeves to highlight feminine, romantic beauty. Siani is impressed, realizing they are unquestionably skilled, especially after one tailor points out the embroidery was individually applied by hand. She acknowledges that these beautiful, talented designers are certainly in a class of their own and deserve to be called top designers. Siani critiques their work, stating none of these dresses are practical. The tailors murmur in confusion as Siani asks if anyone could stoop around for over 8 hours in a corset, crinoline, bustle, and petticoat. A male tailor argues that if one wants to look stunning in a beautiful gown, one must be willing to endure excruciating agony, and others agree he is right. A flashback shows Luna suffering, while being laced into a corset, symbolizing a lady's destiny, to endure suffering, to blossom into a beautiful flower. Siani, standing tall, demands to know why these educated gentlemen are determining her destiny for her, as she is the only lady in the room, leaving them flustered. Siani huffs with a fierce expression on her face. Her eyes glint with determination as she finds something. Siani approaches Bergman Dietrich, focusing solely on him. Bergman bows as Siani prepares to examine the piece he has created, the work of Mr. Genius. On the other side, Arthur looks kindly at Luna, telling her she looks marvelous. Luna thanks Arthur, appearing modest. Arthur tells Luna not to be nervous, as it is her first big high society event, and assures her to enjoy herself, while the pink-haired man promises to escort her the entire time. Two maids admire Luna, telling her she looks so beautiful and lovely in that dress. Luna blushes and thanks them. Luna fidgets, thinking she wore a slightly cheaper necklace to match the dress, and she thinks it looks tacky. Arthur checks his watch, noting Siani is late. Luna nervously explains that a number of carriages came and left this morning, implying Siani was busy. Siani arrives, asking if Arthur was waiting long for her, stunning him. Siani looks absolutely dazzling in her new red dress and intricate jewelry, smiling confidently. Arthur and Eric are utterly speechless and blushing, while Siani asks what is wrong or if something is odd. Eric stammers that she looks stunning and wonders if that is the necklace Arthur gave Claudia when he proposed to her, and Siani confirms she recognizes it. People murmur about Lady Siani, saying she looks so beautiful. Eric agrees he would certainly like to meet this scoundrel, or rather person, as Luna asks Arthur if they are late. A grand carriage awaits outside, ready to depart. Inside the carriage, Eric compliments Luna's dress and hair. Luna replies it is okay, he does not have to try so hard to console her. Eric replies sincerely that he was being sincere, and then wonders how spacious and well-appointed Arthur's carriage is. Luna wonders if there will ever come a day when she can ride in Arthur's carriage. Luna looks wistful, lost in thought. Eric tries to cheer her up, reminding her their carriage is nice too, and asking if she ever imagined they would wear such fancy clothes and attend events in the imperial capital after living in an orphanage. Luna snaps back that they are not Felicite, they are Levi, despite assisting Arthur at the ducal castle. Luna looks out the window, resenting that Chiani, who supposedly did nothing for years, is now so easily escorted by Arthur. Luna asks Eric for a favor, and he asks what kind. Luna reveals the favor is about the subterranean castle, mentioning Eric also has a key to that place. The general thinks it is good that Lady Chiani is giving candy and looking after Ledian, but something about that Eric boy makes him uncomfortable. He explains that today is Arthur Benio's reception, so things are chaotic, and dozens of carriages came and left this morning, all for her ladyship's dress, which makes Ledian question Arthur Benio. The general explains that Arthur Benio is the son of the Grand Duke, her ladyship's former fiancé, though there is nothing between them now. Ledian glares, recognizing him as the bastard who tormented Lady Chiani the other day, and realizes her ladyship just left to go see that man. The general wonders why Ledian is asking so many questions today, but confirms that since it is Arthur's party, she is indeed going to see him. Ledian recalls a past whispered memory of Chiani telling him if he is worried, he can simply visit her before she gets injured. Chiani whispers to Ledian that if he waits patiently, she will visit him soon. Ledian's chest throbs as he questions if life up here is very different from life in the subterranean castle. The general scoffs, saying it is night in the subterranean castle, but the proper castle is like day, and Ledian should be grateful Chiani is personally coming to see him, as she is somewhere he can never hope to reach. Ledian remembers Chiani saying she would visit if he waited patiently, and thinks he should be grateful she personally comes down to the subterranean castle, wondering when she last visited. Ledian recalls being seriously injured and covered in blood, wondering what will happen if he gets badly hurt again. Arthur insists Chiani put on a cloak, worrying she will catch a cold in the spacious reception hall, despite Chiani pointing out it is summertime. Chiani firmly declines, saying no. A noble greets Duke Felicite, then adds a surprise greeting to Lady Chiani as well. Chiani curtsies gracefully, offering greetings to His Excellency. Chiani muses that this is the man who almost became her father-in-law. The noble comments that Chiani has changed so much, making him wonder why his Arthur is so fired up, and Chiani thinks, gross, like father, like son. The noble thanks them for coming, remarking that Lady Chiani's activities have been the talk of the capital, and that House Felicite is blessed to have such a beautiful and intelligent daughter. Arthur's face darkens, silently warning him not to even think about messing with his daughter at this late juncture, realizing this only now. Chiani internally huffs, wondering if the noble seriously said that in a roundabout way, thinking he was not interested in Chiani at all. The noble explains that members of House Felicite are visiting, so of course he came out to greet them, adding that he also has something he would like to discuss privately with the Duke. He suggests they let the youngsters enjoy the first half of the reception by themselves, and asks the Duke to come with him. He instructs a maid to escort Lady Chiani to the inner sitting room, and serve her to the best of her ability until the party begins. Arthur protests that he came to escort his daughter today, while Chiani assures him she is fine, and the early stage of the party will be a little chaotic anyway. Chiani asks him charmingly if he will do that for her. Arthur emphatically states no, this will not do, as she is much too beautiful today, and all sorts of rascals will be vying for her attention, so he will stay with her, prompting Chiani to exclaim, "Father!" Chiani is tensed, wondering if he has gone senile or something, doing something he has never done before, and if he thinks she has forgotten everything he has done, just because she is calling him father. The maid politely offers to assist Chiani if she requires anything, anytime. Chiani observes the maid is almost excessively polite. Chiani tests the maid by asking for lukewarm water at about 72 degrees. The maid readily agrees, saying it has all been prepared, but Chiani adds she is sensitive about fragrance and would like a particular herb in the water. The maid offers rosemary, but Chiani insists on young hyssop leaves. The maid confirms they have hyssop leaves, but Chiani is firm, saying no, only young hyssop leaves. The maid looks surprised and bewildered by Chiani's specific demands. Chiani observes the maid with a piercing look, The maid looks surprised and bewildered by Tiani's specific demands. Tiani dismisses the maid, telling her she has her own maid and guard waiting outside, so nothing will happen to her. She decides to take a look around the area before the party begins. Tiani wonders where everyone went, then sees someone by the door and questions who it is. Kylos, the emperor's younger brother and high priest, expresses disbelief that she was left alone. Tiani recognizes him as Kylos Hugh Rickison from the novel, realizing he is the emperor's younger brother and high priest, and thinks about how the Grand Duke was adamant about having someone keep tabs on her, doubting he would have put her in a room where she could run into someone easily, as only members of the imperial family can bypass the Grand Duke's security. She wonders what he has up his sleeve and if he is on the Grand Duke's side. Kylos, with a slight smile, says she must have been startled by his sudden appearance when alone. He explains he came to assist his older brother, but the Grand Duke took him and sent Kylos instead. Tiani recognizes Kylos as a name from the novel, identifying him as Kylos Hugh Rickison, the emperor's younger brother and high priest. Tiani bows and formally greets His Holiness, apologizing for not recognizing him at first, to which Kylos graciously replies that it is all right, as not many people in the Empire know what he looks like. Kylos gestures for her to lift her head, then remarks with a slight smirk that he unintentionally saw what happened earlier, and questions if all young nobles these days are so audacious. Tiani is taken aback, thinking, young nobles these days? What is with this old man talk? As he wonders if youngsters these days do not fear the aftermath. Kylos leans in, asking if he should elaborate, then pointedly asks why she sent away the person instructed to watch her, and what if the Grand Duke gets upset over that later. Tiani, internally unsure of his intentions, prepares to answer carefully, feigning innocence and asking how she has upset His Holiness, when all she did was ask the maid to fetch her preferred tea leaves. Kylos clarifies, with a subtle smirk, that he meant the Grand Duke might be displeased, not him. Kylos, now seated, asks Tiani if she has heard why His Majesty is attending Arthur Benio's party today. Tiani internally knows it is because the Emperor wants to see her, and Arthur promised she would be at the event, but outwardly she replies that she has not heard. Kylos explains there was a particular rough gemstone His Majesty had his eye on for quite some time, but apparently a certain cheeky daughter of a duke snatched it up first. Tiani's eye gleams as Kylos continues, wondering how and why she bought the stone that no one ever gave a second glance. Kylos concludes that His Majesty, the Emperor, has concluded that a rat must be leaking the secrets of the imperial household. He finishes, stating that the Emperor will have them all killed, with a stark image of a black sun and blood-red lines. Tiani, unfazed, calmly remarks that there is something odd about that story. Kylos smiles, intrigued, asking what it is that she finds odd. Tiani explains that if she had known His Majesty was eyeing this stone, she would not have snatched it up. She looks directly at him, asking, especially against His Majesty the Emperor? Kylos states that she bought the rock because she knew the unrefined stone would later be polished into a gem. Tiani states that if it is a stone His Majesty had been eyeing, then it must have been special in some way. Kylos leans back, saying there is only one daughter of the Duke in this empire, and he knows her quite well, stating she is intelligent, logical, and has a very discerning eye, and he is sure His Majesty is just and would not punish her for having a discerning eye. Tiani smiles in relief, thinking, that is a relief. Did I make it past this hurdle? Tiani thinks to herself that if she had given him the wrong answer, she might have died before even getting to see the Emperor. Kylos states that a burden in one's heart is not so easily released. Looking somber, Tiani's inner thoughts show her frustration, asking, seriously, what the hell are you talking about, mister? Kylos looks on, as Tiani wonders if her subtle test failed. Tiani glances over her shoulder, pondering if her guard can protect her, and doubts the imperial household would try to kill her, but given the novel, she cannot assume she is safe. Kylos laughs heartily, exclaiming, claimed it first? Ha ha, amused by Tiani's reasoning. Kylos smiles, stating his brother would be in utter shock if he heard this, and confirms that indeed, regardless of the object, whoever claims it first is the owner. Tiani breathes a sigh of relief, thinking he liked her answer. Kylos extends his hand, proposing that they, both without partners, escort each other. Tiani hesitates, clearly surprised by the offer. She considers the implications, thinking it is different if she is escorted by the high priest, as everyone's attention will be on her. Tiani accepts with a slight bow, stating she would be honored and is in his hands. Kylos takes her hand, radiating power as Siani thinks he gave it a great deal of thought. Siani is stunned, realizing he used teleportation magic. Kylos looks at Siani with an intense gaze, revealing he pondered whether he should kill her on the spot or let her enjoy an honor like no other, depending on her answer. Siani is shocked, noticing Kylos' hair color suddenly changed, now appearing dark. Kylos, with a satisfied smirk, reveals he decided just now that he had better get on the landlady's good side. Meanwhile, Arthur and the other noble sit calmly playing chess. Arthur avoids the question, simply stating he does not know. The noble challenges Arthur, asking him not to be absurd, and if he is truly the kind of man who would come all this way just to escort his daughter. Arthur replies that, as the noble said, it has been a while since he left the house, which is why he did not notice his hands were dry. The noble fumes, thinking Arthur is a sly bastard who did not answer his question as the chessboard rumbles slightly. Arthur pulls out a moisturizer, claiming Siani made it for him because he had dry hands, adding that he adamantly refused it, but she would not leave him alone until he took it, while thinking that never happened. Arthur laughs, proudly claiming his daughter is a nuisance but an adorable pest, so what can he do? The noble is visibly upset, wondering what on earth Arthur is doing. He thinks Arthur's bragging seems sincere, but then questions why he did not react when his daughter's engagement was terminated. Realizing his actions are contradictory, and telling himself to wait a minute. The noble finally confronts Arthur, asking if he encouraged the termination of the engagement with his household on purpose, but Arthur's attendant interjects, "Your Excellency!" Arthur's attendant bursts in, looking flustered, as Arthur scolds him for entering without permission. The attendant apologizes, explaining that something extraordinary is happening in the reception hall, and he rushed over to inform them at once. Arthur and the noble both look surprised, as the attendant hesitantly mentions Lady Siani. Kylos whispers to Siani that she is good at controlling her expressions, and he observes her versatility becoming increasingly apparent. Siani whispers she is delighted he recognizes her abilities, adding that it is a trivial fact she happens to know, but the temple strictly forbids an individual from using transformation sorcery to impersonate someone else. Siani looks at Kylos expectantly. Siani thinks that she certainly should not commit treason, so she will keep it a secret, then whispers that he came to the sitting room knowing she is Duke Felicite's daughter, right? She laughs and whispers she will give him this piece of information so he is not fooled next time. The real Kylos gives off a far colder impression than he does. He touches her hand, whispering that if his bride pleases her, what would she say to giving him Velen district? The Emperor addresses Siani, asking what brings her here so early, as he informed them he would arrive after the second half had begun, and preparations were made to receive him then. All the nobles present greet His Majesty, while the Emperor acknowledges Duke Felicite's attendance. The Emperor murmurs, asking Duke Felicite what he says to giving him his daughter, causing murmurs among the guests as Duke Felicite asks what he means. Siani glances at the Emperor, thinking, wow, look at his expression, it is positively murderous. The Emperor tells Duke Felicite that his daughter must deserve such praise, as he heard Her Highness read through all the history books at age 2. Duke Felicite looks smug, thinking, oh, has that story reached you already? I felt it was uncouth to say it myself, so I tried to refrain from speaking of it. Arthur grumbles, thinking the Emperor must be unhappy that his son's reception has become a daughter-bragging party, while Siani thinks to herself, I am definitely the star of the party, am I not? The Emperor says he shall take his leave now, having met the person he came to see, and acknowledges Arthur's return, congratulating him. The Emperor instructs Grand Duke Benio and Duke Felicite to follow him as he must speak to them both, and Arthur, before leaving, tells Siani he will be back and to be careful. Siani smiles, saying she will see him in a bit and will be waiting. He is worried how Arthur will react. After taking the spotlight for himself, he calls Sian and says she looks beautiful. Sian looks at him and is cautious, and knows he is being fake. He comes closer to Sian and says if she was there before, he would have adored her more. Siani stares at Arthur in shock, asking if he truly meant he would adore her. Arthur informs Siani, with whispers surrounding them, that this event is where the future Grand Duchess will be chosen. Siani realizes he wants others to hear his words, as his voice has gotten louder, causing more whispers. Arthur leans down to Siani, remarking that she and her father are trying to catch his eye at such an important event. Arthur smiles smugly, almost as if blowing a kiss. Siani thinks to herself that she once considered it. Arthur's gloved hand gestures, and Ciani thinks that unfortunately, he is not her type anymore. Ciani looks at Arthur with a subtle smirk as he says he has high standards. Arthur looks confused, surrounded by question marks from Ciani's words. Ciani thinks Arthur must be flabbergasted that she is not impressed by his face. Just look at that expression. She concedes that Arthur is not ugly, as he beams, surrounded by a radiant glow. Arthur leans in, whispering to Ciani that she should be docile, since he is actually willing to accept her. He whispers, asking if she truly believes there is another man in the capital who would deal with her. Luna dramatically bumps into Ciani, sending cake and flowers scattering. Ciani looks down at the fallen cake and flowers, clearly unhappy with the scene. Luna trembles, her hands pressed together in a plea, her eyes filled with tears as Ciani questions, Luna? Ciani and the disguised emperor observe Luna's distress. Luna, with tears in her eyes, tearfully apologizes to her sister. Luna explains in a soft voice that she just wanted to bring Ciani food since she did not have breakfast. As whispers spread among the onlookers, Luna collapses to her knees, pleading for forgiveness from her sister, while whispers question if that is Duke Felicite's adopted daughter and what is going on. Ciani sighs, realizing Luna is trying to wipe the cake off her shoes, while Ciani thinks, oh, I see. Luna diligently wipes the cake off Ciani's shoes. Ciani looks down at Luna, asking, what are you doing? Luna nervously explains she is wiping Ciani's shoes, while the Emperor tries to calm Ciani, saying Lady Luna did not mean it. Ciani snatches her hand away from Luna, thinking she would not fall for such a stunt. Ciani glares, thinking, people already call me a witch, so there is no point in acting nice. The Emperor thinks that public opinion will always side with poor Luna. Luna looks up at Ciani, weakly calling her sister, tears in her eyes. Ciani chastises the maid, telling her she is doing a terrible job serving her mistress. The maid looks distraught and confused, stammering, pardon? What do you? Ciani sternly asks the maid why Luna is still acting this way, reminding her she told her to fix Luna's habit. Ciani looks annoyed, thinking Luna's habit of kneeling and pleading for forgiveness everywhere has resurfaced, and she told her countless times to uphold the dignity of House Felicite. Luna sighs heavily, reflecting that she still retains a habit from her days on the streets. Murmurs spread among the guests, stating that Luna may have grown up in the Duke's castle, but her humble background will never change. Eric, looking serious, stands amidst the murmuring crowd. Eric urgently tells Luna to get up, reaching out to help her. Ciani observes, thinking that this transparent act of Luna's might have worked on the streets, but not here. Ciani tells Luna she cannot believe she pulled a trick that only children would fall for, calling it foolish. Everyone is shocked seeing all this act, and Ciani seems to be quiet, not startled by anything. Ciani tells Luna not to kneel so thoughtlessly, and instead of playing the part of a poor, pitiable orphan, Ciani demands Luna act like a member of House Felicite, no matter where she is, while Eric looks on, concerned. Eric's face shows distress, his eyes wide with worry for Luna. Ciani asks Eric what he is staring at and orders him to take Luna away. Meanwhile, the Emperor, Arthur, and the noble continue their chess game. The noble remarks to the Emperor, with a sly smile, that he cannot believe His Majesty escorted Ciani with his own noble hands. The Emperor, looking thoughtful, explains he offered it because he needs to curry favor with her. The noble observes that Duke Felicite also seems to know why the Emperor is acting this way. The noble questions why on earth the Emperor needs to curry favor with Ciani Felicite. The Emperor taps Ciani's hand, looking pleased. The Emperor, now sitting calmly, tells Ciani to give him a moment. Ciani looks at him with suspicion, wondering why he is acting this way. Ciani watches with a smirk as Luna and a man walk away, thinking she had originally planned to make a good impression. Luna looks distressed as she realizes her actions have caused a stir that will capture everyone's attention. Ciani muses that if people want to gossip about the adopted daughter, they will inevitably have to talk about her too. Feeling tired, and knowing the Emperor escorting her will create enough buzz, Ciani decides she can leave the reception early. Suddenly, a charming man stops Ciani, asking her to wait a moment. The man expresses surprise, asking Ciani why she is leaving so soon when the party has just begun. Ciani casually replies that she has already caused enough commotion and feels there is nothing left for her to enjoy. A fleeting memory shows Ciani smiling brightly, her hand held by the Emperor, showcasing her earlier success at sparking interest. Dark, unsettling rumors swirl, depicting Siani as a red-eyed witch. The whispers continue, painting Siani as a terrible person who caused her mother's death and controlled the kindest man, calling her leech-like and miserable. Tears well up in Siani's red eyes as the painful truth is revealed. She was Lord Arthur's former fiancé, who was discarded like garbage. Arthur smiles, mentioning Siani's fondness for red wine, subtly implying his intention to make her look good, assuring her his name will not be in the papers. Siani looks startled, wondering what, if it was her, as she anticipates Arthur's next move. Siani internally boasts about teaching the poor adopted daughter the etiquette of the nobles. Siani realizes Arthur has a plan to make her appear foolish and steal the spotlight. Siani, observing the unfolding scene, thinks, oh, could it be, deciding she will not just stand by if Arthur intends to play games. Siani coolly rebuffs Arthur, reminding him he has mistaken her and that she is allergic to grapes. Arthur looks confused, repeating if she was allergic to grapes. Siani smirks, clarifying she is not the young noble lady who likes red wine, and slyly adds that cheating is a type of romance too, Arthur. Somewhere else, Eirik confronts Luna, demanding to know why on earth she was doing this. Eirik's frustration mounts as he loudly asks if she did that on purpose. Eirik grasps Luna, shaking her slightly, as he demands an answer, asking if she intentionally bumped into Siani. Luna looks away, then calmly confesses that she did. Eirik recoils in shock, muttering what? Eirik angrily questions Luna about her pathetic actions, which immediately offends Luna. Luna lashes out, crying that he was a liar, and insists she should be the one doing terrible things, not him. Luna continues to berate Eirik for not taking her side, while Arthur observes with a glass of wine, thinking the reception is a complete disaster due to the adopted siblings. Arthur shouts Luna Lev in exasperation, while Luna, surprised, asks if she was wrong, and Arthur dismisses the conversation as useless. Arthur turns to Eirik, stating that he knows it too, hinting at Siani's significant transformation. Eirik tries to understand Luna's sudden behavior, asking what has gotten into her, to which Luna retorts if he thinks she did not know. A flashback shows a younger Chiani teaching Luna etiquette, implying Luna sought Chiani's approval. In the past, young Luna listens with a solemn expression, as Chiani's inner thoughts reveal Luna's promises to work hard were all just talk. Siani's past thoughts reveal that Luna only cared about what Siani thinks. The memory emphasizes Luna's deeper desire, stating she always wanted recognition from Siani more than from his grace. Eirik yells at Luna Lev, "That is enough," in an attempt to stop her. Luna gives a sly smile and challenges Eirik, stating that if he does not want to hear it, then he should prove her wrong. Luna touches Eirik's arm, reminding him of their secret conversation in the carriage. Luna's resolute expression confirms her warning to Eirik. He absolutely cannot let her take the subterranean castle away from him, she said. A maid excitedly presents a pile of newspapers and magazines to Chiani, proclaiming her to look at this, my lady. The maid proudly announces that everything is about her, my lady, showing a headline, Chiani F. Licit, escorted by His Majesty. Chiani smiles, noting that is quite an uproar, and the maid adds, that is not all. Chiani looks knowingly at Bergman, asking what he thinks, since he also has many articles about him. Bergman looks a bit embarrassed, stammering, well. Chiani, seated with Bergman and a maid, suggests continuing their conversation from the other day, making Bergman gulp nervously. A little girl, Taya, is engrossed in reading a newspaper on the floor, while a maid gently asks what she is reading. Taya looks up innocently, pointing to the newspaper and asking who this is. The maid explains it is Duke F. Licit's daughter, and everyone is talking about her after Lord Arthur's recent party. Taya flips the newspaper page with wide, admiring eyes. Taya exclaims she is pretty, so sparkly, goddess. She is a goddess, startling the maid, who tries to correct her, saying she should be called a goddess. But Taya insists no, she is not an angel but really a goddess.